It was the kind of rain that washes cities clean. But not guilt, not fear, and certainly not the truth.
Please. I need to find her.
Marcus Cole stopped mid-mop, turning slowly toward the courthouse entrance. The girl couldn't have been older than 8. Soaked through, shivering.
Hey, sweetheart. You lost?
I need to see Catherine Bennett. The lady on TV. The one they say is bad.
Marcus froze. Catherine Bennett, the billionaire tech mogul whose fraud trial was about to begin upstairs. The woman the whole country wanted to see convicted.
What do you need with her?
She's the only one who can help me. My mama said so. Before she...
The girl's voice cracked. Her tiny hand held a crumpled piece of paper, so worn it looked like it had been folded and unfolded 1,000 times.
Please, mister. I walked so far. Please don't make me leave.
The rain fell harder outside, drumming against the tall courthouse windows like impatient fingers. Marcus Cole knelt down slowly, his knees protesting after 12 hours on his feet. The little girl stepped back instinctively, clutching that paper tighter against her chest. Her coat was torn at the shoulder. Her sneakers were 2 sizes too big, held together with duct tape.
Nobody's gonna make you leave, okay? But you're soaked. You cold?
A little.
Marcus pulled off his maintenance jacket and draped it over her thin shoulders. It swallowed her whole. She looked up at him with those wide, frightened eyes, like she'd been hurt before by people who pretended to be kind.
What's your name, sweetheart?
Emma.
Emma. That's a pretty name. I'm Marcus. Now, how do you know Catherine Bennett?
I don't. But my mama did. She worked for her. A long time ago.
Marcus's jaw tightened. Catherine Bennett owned NeuralSync, one of the biggest tech companies in the world. Thousands of employees. Billions in revenue. And right now, she was upstairs facing charges that could end it all. Fraud. Conspiracy. Theft of intellectual property. The trial had been plastered across every news channel for weeks.
Your mama sent you here?
No. Mama's gone.
The girl's voice was flat when she said it. Not crying. Just empty. Like she'd already cried all the tears she had.
Gone where, honey?
Heaven, I think. That's what the lady at the hospital said.
Marcus felt his chest tighten. He'd worked at this courthouse for 23 years. Seen a lot of pain walk through these doors. But something about this child, standing in a puddle of rainwater with nothing but a piece of paper and a dead mother's last wish, cut deeper than most.
I'm so sorry, Emma. Who's taking care of you now?
Nobody. I ran away from the place they put me. They said I had to stay there. But I can't. Not until I give this to Miss Bennett.
She held up the crumpled paper with both hands, like it was made of glass. Marcus could see writing on it, faded and smudged from rain, and tiny fingers holding it too tight for too long.
Can I see it?
You won't take it?
I won't take it. I just want to help.
Emma hesitated, then slowly unfolded the paper. It was a letter, handwritten. The ink had bled in places, but Marcus could still make out most of the words. His eyes scanned the first few lines, and his breath caught. The media storm that followed the trial was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. His face was everywhere. News channels ran segments about the janitor who took down a corporate criminal. Social media exploded with support. People called him a hero, a symbol of ordinary people standing up against corruption. But Marcus didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man who'd done what anyone should have done. He'd helped a scared little girl deliver her mother's last wish. That was all.
I appreciate the attention, but Sarah Chen is the real hero here. Not me.
He'd said that in every interview, on every news program that managed to corner him. But the narrative had already taken hold. The janitor versus the billionaire's corrupt CFO. David versus Goliath. It was a story too good for the media to let go. What Marcus cared about more than the attention was watching Emma heal. Catherine had spared no expense. Therapy, the best schools, a beautiful bedroom in her penthouse overlooking the city. But more importantly, Catherine gave Emma something money couldn't buy. Time, attention, love.
How is school today, sweetheart?
We learned about constellations. Did you know that some stars we see are already dead? Their light just takes so long to reach us that we still see them shining.
Catherine smiled, brushing hair from Emma's face as they sat in the courthouse cafeteria with Marcus during his lunch break. These visits had become routine, every Tuesday and Friday, like clockwork.
That's beautiful. And kind of sad.
I think it's nice. It means the things we love don't just disappear. They keep shining, even after they're gone.
Marcus felt his throat tighten. Emma was talking about her mother, about Sarah. The grief was still there, would probably always be there, but the little girl was learning to carry it differently, to let her mother's memory be a light instead of just a wound.
Your mama would be so proud of you, Emma. You know that, right?
Miss Catherine tells me that every night.
Catherine reached across the table and squeezed Marcus's hand. It was a simple gesture, but it said everything. Thank you. I couldn't have done this without you. We're family now. But not everyone was happy about what had happened. Richard Lawson's family maintained his innocence. His lawyers filed appeal after appeal. And there were whispers, rumors that Marcus had somehow manipulated evidence, that he'd coached Emma, that the whole thing was an elaborate setup.
Marcus, have you seen the articles? Some people are saying terrible things.
I've seen them. Let them talk. The evidence speaks for itself.
Catherine worried more than Marcus did. She'd offered to hire lawyers for him, publicists to manage his image. But Marcus refused. He trusted the truth. And the truth was simple. Sarah Chen had documented Richard Lawson's crimes. Emma had delivered that evidence. Marcus had made sure it reached the right people. Nothing more complicated than that. 9 months after the trial, Catherine invited Marcus to a special event. Neural Sync was launching a new initiative, the Sarah Chen Memorial Scholarship Fund. It would provide full college scholarships to children who'd lost parents to illness, focusing especially on kids from disadvantaged backgrounds.
Sarah gave me a second chance 20 years ago when she didn't have to. This is how I honor that. By giving chances to others.
The launch event was held at Neural Sync headquarters. It was massive, hundreds of people, press everywhere. Marcus felt uncomfortable in the suit Catherine had insisted on buying him. But when Emma took his hand and led him to the front row, he forgot about his discomfort.
You have to sit up front, Mr. Marcus. Your family.
The word hit him harder than he expected. Family. Marcus had been alone for most of his adult life. No wife, no kids, just his job and his small apartment. But somehow, a rainy night had given him something he'd never thought he'd have. People who cared, people who needed him, people he loved. Catherine took the stage. She looked different than she had that night in the courtroom. Stronger, more herself. She'd been through hell and come out the other side, and it showed in the way she carried herself.
Thank you all for being here. 9 months ago, I was sitting in a courtroom, alone, facing charges that would have destroyed everything I'd built. My lawyers had abandoned me. The world had decided I was guilty. I had given up hope.
The room was silent. Every eye was on Catherine.
Then a little girl walked through a storm. She was 8 years old. She'd just lost her mother. She had every reason to be broken. But she wasn't. She was brave. She carried her mother's final gift, the truth, and she delivered it to me. That little girl saved my life.
Catherine gestured to Emma in the front row. Cameras flashed. Emma didn't hide. She stood up, small but fierce, and waved. The crowd applauded.
Emma's mother, Sarah Chen, worked in my mailroom 20 years ago. I gave her a job when she needed one. I didn't think much of it at the time. Just seemed like the right thing to do. But Sarah never forgot. And when she saw corruption, when she witnessed crimes being committed by someone I trusted, she didn't look away. She documented everything. At great personal risk.
Catherine paused, wiping her eyes.
Sarah died before she could see justice done. But her courage, her evidence, brought down a criminal. It cleared my name. It saved my company. And it gave me the greatest gift of my life, a daughter.
The applause was thunderous. Marcus felt tears on his own cheeks. He wasn't embarrassed. Half the room was crying.
The Sarah Chen Memorial Scholarship Fund will ensure that children who lose parents don't lose their futures. We're starting with 50 full scholarships this year. Full tuition, room and board, books, everything. And we'll grow from there.
More applause. Catherine stepped down from the stage and walked straight to Emma, pulling her into a tight hug. Marcus stood and joined them. The three of them stood there together while cameras flashed and people cheered. As the months turned into a year, life settled into something resembling normal. Marcus still mopped floors at the courthouse. Catherine still ran Neural Sync, bigger and more successful than ever. Emma thrived in school, making honor roll and joining the robotics club. But there were hard days too. Days when Emma would wake up crying for her mother. Days when Catherine would get threats from people who still believed she was guilty. Days when Marcus would read cruel comments online about being a janitor who got lucky.
I miss her so much. Sometimes I can't even remember her face clearly anymore.
Catherine would hold Emma on those nights, rocking her gently.
I know, baby. I know. But you carry her with you. In your heart. In your strength. In your kindness. That's how we keep the people we love alive.
Marcus was there for those hard nights too. Catherine would call him, and he'd come over no matter what time it was. He'd sit with Emma, telling her stories about the courthouse, about the people he'd met, about her mother's bravery.
Your mama was scared, Emma. She was terrified. But she did the right thing anyway. That's what real courage is. Not the absence of fear, but doing what's right despite the fear.
Like you did? Standing up in court even though you're not a lawyer?
Maybe. But I learned that from people like your mama. Like Miss Catherine. From people who refuse to let injustice win.
Emma would eventually fall asleep, and Marcus and Catherine would sit in the living room, talking quietly.
I don't know what I'd do without you, Marcus. You've become Emma's anchor. Mine too.
You'd be fine. You're stronger than you think.
No. We need you. Both of us.
It was a strange friendship. A billionaire CEO and a courthouse janitor. On paper, they had nothing in common. But trauma and triumph had bound them together in ways that transcended social class or wealth. On Emma's 9th birthday, Catherine threw a party at her penthouse. Emma had made friends at school, and the apartment was filled with children laughing and playing. Marcus arrived with a simple gift, a photo album he'd put together. It was filled with pictures of Sarah that he'd tracked down through old Neural Sync employee records, through people who'd known her.
Mr. Marcus, how did you find all these?
I asked around. Your mama touched a lot of lives. People remembered her.
Emma clutched the album to her chest, tears streaming down her face. Happy tears this time. Catherine stood behind her, one hand on Emma's shoulder, looking at Marcus with such profound gratitude that he had to look away. A year and a half after the trial, Marcus was approached by a publisher. They wanted him to write a book, tell his story, the janitor who stood up to corporate corruption. Marcus refused at first.
I'm not a writer. And it's not my story to tell. It's Sarah's. It's Emma's.
But Catherine convinced him. She sat with him in the courthouse cafeteria during his lunch break, Emma doing homework beside them.
Marcus, there are people out there right now in situations like mine. Alone. Facing impossible odds. Your story could give them hope. It could show them that justice doesn't always come from the people with the most money or the best lawyers. Sometimes it comes from ordinary people who refuse to accept injustice.
I don't want people to think I'm trying to profit from Sarah's death.
Then donate the money. All of it. To the scholarship fund. But tell the story. Please.
Marcus eventually agreed. He worked with a ghostwriter, spending his evenings after work recounting everything that had happened. The rainy night Emma appeared. The letter. The safety deposit box. The trial. It was painful, reliving those intense hours. But it was also cathartic. The book was published 8 months later. I Will Defend Her, A Janitor's Stand for Justice. It became an instant bestseller. The advance and royalties, all of it, went directly to the Sarah Chen Memorial Scholarship Fund. Marcus did a handful of interviews, but refused most media requests. He didn't want to be famous. He wanted to go back to being invisible.
I just want my life back. My quiet life.
I know. But you changed the world, Marcus. Whether you wanted to or not.
What Marcus didn't expect was the letters. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. People writing to thank him. People who'd read the book and been inspired to stand up in their own lives. abuse victims who found the courage to leave, employees who reported corruption at their companies, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Marcus kept every letter. He stored them in boxes in his small apartment. On hard days, when he felt discouraged or tired, he'd read a few. Remind himself that Sarah's bravery, Emma's courage, and his own simple choice to help had rippled out far beyond that one rainy night.
Dear Mr. Cole, I'm a single mom working 2 jobs. I was afraid to report my supervisor for harassment because I needed the job. But after reading your book, I found the strength. I reported him. He was fired. And I got promoted. Thank you for showing me that ordinary people can make a difference.
Emma looked up from the letter, her eyes shining.
You're a hero, Mr. Marcus.
No, sweetheart. Your mama was the hero. I just had the privilege of helping her message get heard.
2 years after the trial, Emma turned 10. She'd grown taller, more confident. The frightened little girl who'd appeared in the courthouse lobby on that rainy night was gone, replaced by a smart, fierce, compassionate young person who wanted to change the world just like her mama had tried to do.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a lawyer. Like Mr. Marcus was. Sort of.
They were sitting in Catherine's penthouse living room. Marcus in an armchair, Catherine on the couch, Emma sprawled on the floor with her homework.
I'm not sure I qualify as a lawyer, kiddo. More like a very enthusiastic amateur.
An amateur who won an impossible case and brought down a criminal. I'd say that counts.
Emma looked up at them both, her expression suddenly serious.
Do you think my mama would be happy with how things turned out?
The question hung in the air. Marcus and Catherine exchanged glances. This was the question Emma asked sometimes, usually late at night or on holidays when the absence of her mother felt particularly sharp.
Oh, sweetheart. Your mama would be so proud of you. Of the young woman you're becoming. Of your courage. Your kindness. Your brilliant mind.
She'd be amazed that her bravery led to a scholarship fund that's already helped 53 kids go to college. That it led to Richard Lawson going to prison. That it saved Miss Catherine's life and company. Your mama's courage changed the world, Emma.
But she's not here to see it.
Catherine moved from the couch to the floor, sitting beside Emma and pulling her close.
No. She's not. And that's not fair. It's not right. But Emma, listen to me. Your mama lives on. In you. In every kid who gets a scholarship in her name. In every person who reads Marcus's book and finds courage they didn't know they had. In Marcus and me and everyone who was touched by her story. Death took her body. But it didn't take her impact. It didn't take her love. That lives forever.
Emma nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. Marcus reached over and took her small hand.
And you're not alone, Emma. You have Miss Catherine. You have me. You have a whole community of people who love you. Your mama made sure of that. Even from beyond, she protected you. She gave you to people who would keep you safe.
I love you both so much.
We love you too, sweetheart. So much.
They sat together on the floor of that expensive penthouse. A billionaire, a janitor, and a 10-year-old girl. An unlikely family forged in tragedy and triumph. Marcus thought about how different his life had been 2 years ago. Lonely, routine, predictable. Now it was messy and complicated and full of love he'd never expected to have. The Sarah Chen Memorial Scholarship Fund continued to grow. By its second anniversary, it had provided scholarships to over 100 students. Catherine expanded it, partnering with other companies, creating a network of support for kids who'd lost parents. It became a model for similar programs nationwide. Richard Lawson remained in prison. His appeals had all failed. The evidence Sarah had gathered was too comprehensive, too damning. He'd lost everything. His career, his freedom, his reputation. Sometimes Marcus felt sorry for him. But then he'd remember Catherine sitting alone in that courtroom, abandoned and facing life in prison for crimes she didn't commit. And the sympathy would fade. 3 years after the trial, Marcus received an unexpected phone call. It was from Harvard Law School. They wanted to offer him an honorary position as a guest lecturer. to talk about justice, about standing up for what's right, about how the law belongs to everyone, not just those with degrees and expensive suits.
I'm sorry, you want me to teach at Harvard? I barely finished high school.
The dean on the other end of the line laughed warmly. Mr. Cole, you taught this entire country about courage and justice. Our students need to hear from someone like you. Someone who understands that law isn't just theory. It's about real people and real consequences. Marcus was terrified, but Catherine and Emma convinced him to accept.
Mr. Marcus, you have to do it. Think of all the future lawyers you could inspire. Maybe they'll remember you when they're defending someone who needs help.
She's right. This is important, Marcus. You have wisdom that can't be learned from textbooks.
So Marcus found himself standing in front of a lecture hall full of Harvard law students. Young, brilliant kids who'd never mopped a floor in their lives, who'd never felt powerless or invisible. He stood at the podium in his one good suit, hands shaking slightly.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to teach you. You're all smarter than me. You've read more books. You know more about law than I ever will.
The students watched him quietly. Some looked skeptical, others curious.
But I know what it feels like to be invisible. To be the person nobody notices. The janitor. The cleaner. The maintenance guy. And I know what it feels like to see injustice happening right in front of you and feel powerless to stop it.
Marcus told them about that rainy night, about Emma appearing with her mother's letter, about Sarah Chen's courage, about standing in a federal courtroom with no law degree, no experience, just a desperate need to help a scared little girl honor her mother's dying wish.
The law isn't just about precedent and procedure. It's about people. Real people with real lives who need someone to stand up for them. And sometimes that someone is a janitor who's watched enough trials to know what questions to ask. Sometimes justice comes from the most unlikely places.
When he finished, the room was silent for a long moment. Then one student started clapping, then another. Then the whole room erupted in applause. Marcus felt his face flush, uncomfortable with the attention but grateful that maybe, just maybe, he'd planted a seed in some of these future lawyers. After his lecture, several students approached Marcus with questions. One young woman, intense and serious, waited until the others had left. Mr. Cole, my name is Jennifer Martinez. I'm from the south side of Chicago. First person in my family to go to college, let alone law school. Your story, what you did for Miss Bennett and Emma, it reminded me why I wanted to do this. To be a voice for people who don't have one.
That's a good reason. The best reason. I want to do pro bono work. Help people who can't afford lawyers. But everyone here says that's not realistic. That I need to take a corporate job first to pay off loans, build experience. They say helping the poor doesn't pay bills.
Marcus understood her struggle, the gap between idealism and reality. He thought about what to say.
I can't tell you what to do. Loans are real. Bills are real. But I can tell you this. When I stood up in that courtroom, I wasn't thinking about money or career. I was thinking about an 8-year-old girl who'd walk through a storm to deliver the truth. Sometimes you just have to do what's right and trust that everything else will work out. Thank you. I needed to hear that.
She left with renewed determination. Marcus packed up his notes. Catherine had been sitting in the back of the lecture hall, listening. She approached now, smiling.
You were amazing. Those students hung on every word.
I just told them the truth. About what happened.
You gave them something more valuable than any case study or legal theory. You gave them purpose. Reminded them why they wanted to be lawyers in the first place.
They walked out of the law school together into the crisp autumn air. Emma was waiting outside, having finished her own classes at a nearby middle school. Catherine had enrolled her in a school in Boston for a semester as an experiment, wanting Emma to experience different places, different opportunities.
How did it go, Mr. Marcus?
I think okay. I didn't pass out or forget what I was saying, so that's a win.
I knew you'd be great.
They walked to a nearby cafe and sat outside despite the chill. Emma ordered hot chocolate. Catherine had coffee. Marcus had tea. 3 years ago, Marcus never would have imagined this. Sitting at a cafe near Harvard with a billionaire and a young girl who'd become like family. Life was strange and beautiful. 4 years after the trial, on the anniversary of that rainy night, Catherine organized a special event. A dedication ceremony. Neuralink headquarters had built a new wing for their research division. They were naming it after Sarah Chen. Emma was 12 now, almost a teenager. She'd grown tall, her features settling into a face that reminded Marcus of the photographs he'd found of her mother. Same determined eyes, same quiet strength.
Do I really have to give a speech? In front of all those people?
Only if you want to, sweetheart. But I think your mama's story deserves to be told. And you're the best person to tell it.
Emma had been working on the speech for weeks, writing and rewriting. Marcus had helped her, sitting at Catherine's kitchen table late at night, offering suggestions, but mostly just listening as Emma figured out what she wanted to say.
My mama was a night cleaner. Not a CEO or a lawyer or anyone famous. But she was brave. When she saw something wrong, she didn't look away. She documented it. Even when it was dangerous. Even when she was scared.
Emma's voice shook slightly as she practiced in the car on the way to the ceremony. Marcus reached back from the front seat and squeezed her hand.
You've got this, kiddo. Just speak from your heart. That's all anyone can ask.
The ceremony was held in the new research wing, bright and modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows and cutting-edge labs. A plaque was mounted near the entrance, the Sarah Chen Research Wing, dedicated to truth, courage, and second chances. Hundreds of people attended. Neuralink employees, reporters, scholarship recipients from the Sarah Chen Memorial Fund. Marcus stood off to the side in his suit, still uncomfortable at these formal events. But Catherine had insisted he be there. Emma had insisted. So here he was.
Catherine spoke first, introducing the wing and explaining its purpose. Research into technology that could help disadvantaged communities. Projects that prioritized social good over profit. It was Sarah's legacy, Catherine explained. Using corporate resources to lift people up, give them chances they wouldn't otherwise have.
Then it was Emma's turn. She walked to the podium, small against the large crowd. But when she started speaking, her voice was steady.
My mama died when I was 8. I barely remember what her voice sounded like now. But I remember her courage. I remember the night she told me about the evidence she'd gathered. How scared she was. How she made me promise to deliver it to Miss Catherine if anything happened to her.
The crowd was silent, listening intently.
I was so scared the night I came to the courthouse. It was raining. I was alone. I didn't know if anyone would believe me. But then I met Mr. Marcus, a janitor who saw a frightened kid and decided to help. Not because he had to, but because it was right.
Emma looked at Marcus. He felt tears in his eyes.
My mama taught me that it doesn't matter if you're a CEO or a cleaner. What matters is what you do when you see injustice. Do you look away? Or do you stand up? My mama stood up. Mr. Marcus stood up. And because they did, I have a life. I have a future. I have hope.
The applause was thunderous. Emma stepped down from the podium, and Catherine pulled her into a tight hug. Marcus joined them, and for a moment, the three of them stood together while cameras flashed and people cheered. After the ceremony, scholarship recipients from the Sarah Chen Memorial Fund approached Emma. They wanted to meet her, thank her, tell her how the scholarship had changed their lives. Emma listened to each story with serious attention, her eyes shining with tears and pride. I'm the first person in my family to go to college. Without this scholarship, I'd be working 3 jobs just trying to survive. Instead, I'm studying engineering. Because of your mama. Because of you. Emma hugged each of them. These strangers who were connected to her through her mother's courage and Catherine's generosity. It was overwhelming and beautiful. Later, when the crowd had thinned, Marcus found himself standing in front of Sarah Chen's plaque. He'd never met her, never heard her voice except on that recording. But he felt like he knew her. Through her daughter. Through the evidence she'd gathered. Through the choice she'd made to risk everything for the truth.
You did good, Sarah. Your daughter is amazing. Strong and kind, just like you must have been.
He felt a presence beside him. Catherine had approached silently.
I think about her sometimes. What her life was like. What she went through. She was just trying to survive, and she stumbled onto corruption that could have gotten her killed. But she didn't run. She documented it. Protected her daughter. Made sure the truth would come out even if she couldn't deliver it herself.
Makes you wonder how many other people out there see things but stay silent because they're scared. Because they feel powerless.
That's why this wing is important. And the scholarship fund. And your book. We're trying to send a message. That ordinary people have power. That courage matters. That one person standing up can change everything.
Emma joined them, sliding her hand into Catherine's.
Can we go home now? I'm exhausted.
Of course, sweetheart. Let's go home.
Home. Emma called Catherine's penthouse home now. It had been legally true for over 3 years, since the adoption was finalized. But the way Emma said it, so naturally and comfortably, still made Marcus's heart warm. This little girl who'd had nothing, who'd lost everything, had found a home, had found love. They drove back through the city in Catherine's car. Emma fell asleep in the back seat, her head against the window. Marcus sat in front, watching the city lights blur past.
Marcus, I need to ask you something.
What is it?
I'm putting together a foundation. A bigger version of the scholarship fund. I want to help people facing injustice who can't afford legal representation. I want to fund pro bono lawyers. Create resources. And I want you to be part of it. Help run it.
Marcus turned to look at her, surprised.
Catherine, I'm a janitor. I don't know how to run a foundation.
You understand justice better than anyone I know. You understand what it feels like to be invisible, to be dismissed because of your job or your background. That's exactly the perspective this foundation needs.
Marcus was quiet for a long moment, thinking.
I'd have to quit my job at the courthouse.
Yes. But think of all the people you could help. Not just in one building, but across the country. Maybe the world.
It was terrifying, leaving the only job he'd had for over 2 decades, stepping into something completely new. But Marcus thought about Emma walking through that rain, about Sarah Chen risking everything, about all the letters he'd received from people who'd found courage they didn't know they had.
Okay. Let's do it.
The Sarah Chen Justice Foundation officially launched 6 months later. Catherine provided the initial funding. Marcus left his job at the courthouse after 24 years. His co-workers threw him a party. It was bittersweet, leaving a place that had been his entire adult life. But he was moving toward something bigger. The foundation focused on 3 areas. First, funding for pro bono legal representation for people facing injustice who couldn't afford lawyers. Second, protection and support for whistleblowers like Sarah Chen who risked everything to expose corruption. Third, scholarships and mentorship for people from disadvantaged backgrounds who wanted to pursue careers in law and justice. Marcus worked from a small office in the foundation's headquarters. He reviewed cases, talked to applicants, made decisions about who to help. It was overwhelming at first. The need was so much greater than they could possibly meet. But they helped who they could, one person at a time, one case at a time.
Tell me about your situation. My son is in jail for a crime he didn't commit. We can't afford a good lawyer. The public defender has 200 cases. My boy is going to prison for something he didn't do, and I can't stop it.
Marcus listened to the woman's story, checked the details. Within a week, the foundation had connected her with an excellent attorney who agreed to take the case pro bono. It was a small victory, but it mattered to that mother, to that son. Emma was 13 now, in 8th grade, talking about high school and college and maybe becoming a lawyer or an engineer or a teacher. She changed her mind weekly. But whatever she chose, Marcus knew she'd be amazing. She had her mother's courage and Catherine's determination.
Mr. Marcus, do you ever miss mopping floors?
They were having dinner at Catherine's penthouse. The 3 of them together as usual. This had become their routine. Family dinners, homework help, movie nights. The strange little family that had formed from tragedy.
Sometimes. It was simpler. Show up, do the work, go home. Nobody expected anything from me. Now I've got people counting on me. It's scary.
But you're helping so many people. The foundation has taken on 37 cases in 6 months. Provided representation for people who had none.
We're doing what we can. But there's so much need. Sometimes it feels like trying to empty an ocean with a teaspoon.
But that's how Mama did it too, right? One piece of evidence at a time. One photograph. One recording. She couldn't stop all corruption. But she stopped one corrupt person. And it changed everything.
Marcus smiled at Emma. This kid who'd been through so much had developed a wisdom beyond her years.
You're absolutely right, kiddo. One case at a time. One person at a time.
5 years after that rainy night, Marcus sat in his foundation office, reviewing another stack of applications for help. His phone rang. It was Catherine.
Marcus, turn on the news. Channel 7.
Marcus grabbed the remote and switched on the small TV in his office. A news anchor was reporting on a major corporate fraud case. A whistleblower had come forward with evidence. The reporter mentioned that the whistleblower had been inspired by Sarah Chen's story, by Marcus's book.
Another one.
Another one. Marcus, people are listening. They're finding courage. They're standing up. What we started that night in the courthouse, it's spreading.
Marcus felt a lump in his throat. 5 years ago, he'd been an invisible janitor, alone, just doing his job. Now he was part of something bigger. A movement of ordinary people refusing to accept injustice. All because a little girl had walked through a storm carrying her mother's truth. 7 years after the trial, Emma was 15, a sophomore in high school. She'd grown into a remarkable young woman. Top of her class, captain of the debate team, volunteer at a homeless shelter on weekends. She carried her mother's memory with grace, letting it fuel her compassion rather than harden her heart.
I've been thinking about college. I want to stay close to you and Miss Catherine. Maybe go to school here in the city.
They were sitting in Marcus's foundation office. Emma often came by after school, doing homework while Marcus worked. It had become their routine. Catherine would pick her up later, and they'd all have dinner together.
Emma, you should go wherever gives you the best opportunities. Don't limit yourself because of us.
You are my opportunity, Mr. Marcus. You and Miss Catherine. You're my family. Mama gave me to you. I'm not leaving that.
Marcus felt his eyes burn with tears. This girl, this incredible young woman who'd survived so much. She'd chosen them just as much as they'd chosen her. Emma's right. We're a family. Families stay together. Catherine had been on speakerphone, listening from her office across town. She'd called to check in, as she did every day around this time.
You two are going to make me cry at work. People already think I'm too soft for this job.
You're exactly soft enough, Mr. Marcus. That's why people trust you.
It was true. In the 7 years since the foundation launched, they'd helped over 300 cases, provided legal representation for people who had none, protected whistleblowers, funded scholarships for 217 students from disadvantaged backgrounds. The work was hard and often heartbreaking, but it mattered. One of their recent cases had gone to trial. A single mother accused of welfare fraud. The evidence against her was circumstantial, but she couldn't afford a lawyer. The foundation connected her with an excellent attorney. They'd won the case last week. The woman was free, reunited with her children.
Your mama would be proud, Emma, of everything you've become. Everything you've helped create.
I wish she could see it. All of it. She does see it, sweetheart. I truly believe that. And she's so proud.
Emma nodded, wiping her eyes quickly. 7 years hadn't erased the grief, had just taught her how to carry it differently, to let it coexist with joy and hope and love. 8 years after the trial, Marcus received a letter that changed everything. It was from Richard Lawson, still in prison, still maintaining his innocence in public statements. But the letter told a different story. Marcus sat in his office, the letter trembling in his hands. Catherine and Emma were on their way. He'd called them immediately after reading it.
He confessed. After all these years, he actually confessed.
What does he say?
Marcus read parts of the letter aloud as Catherine and Emma arrived and sat down.
Mr. Cole, I've spent 8 years in prison telling myself I was innocent. That I'd been framed. That Sarah Chen's evidence was manufactured. But I can't lie to myself anymore. I did everything you said I did. I stole from Neural Sync. I framed Catherine. I threatened Sarah when she discovered what I was doing.
Why is he telling you this now?
He says he's sick. Cancer. Not much time left. Says he doesn't want to die with this on his conscience. He's asking if we can bring Emma to see him. Says he wants to apologize to her for what he did to her mother.
The room fell silent. Catherine looked furious. Emma looked pale. Marcus just felt tired.
Absolutely not. That man doesn't get to ease his conscience at Emma's expense. He terrorized Sarah. He's the reason she lived in fear. The reason she couldn't come forward until she was dying.
But what if I want to go?
Both Catherine and Marcus looked at Emma in surprise.
Emma, you don't owe him anything. You don't have to face him.
I know I don't have to. But maybe I need to. For me. Not for him.
Marcus studied Emma's face. She was 16 now, old enough to make this decision, old enough to understand what she was choosing.
Why do you want to see him, sweetheart?
Because he's the reason my mama died scared. The reason she couldn't get treatment earlier because she was hiding. The reason I grew up without her. I want to look him in the eye. I want him to see what his choices cost.
Catherine reached over and took Emma's hand.
If you're sure, we'll go with you. Both of us.
I'm sure.
2 weeks later, they drove to the federal prison where Richard Lawson was serving his sentence. It was a cold day in late autumn. The trees were bare. The sky was gray. Emma sat in the back seat, unusually quiet. Catherine kept glancing at her in the rearview mirror. Marcus sat in front, his own stomach tight with anxiety.
You can still change your mind, Emma. Nobody would blame you.
I know. But I need to do this.
The prison was exactly what Marcus expected. Gray concrete walls, barbed wire, security checkpoints. They were searched, questioned, processed. Finally, they were led to a small visiting room. Richard Lawson was already there, seated at a metal table, a guard standing nearby. He looked nothing like the confident executive who'd walked into that courtroom 8 years ago. He was thin, almost skeletal. His silver hair was gone, lost to chemotherapy. His expensive suit replaced by a prison jumpsuit. But his eyes, when he looked up at them, showed something Marcus hadn't expected. Genuine remorse. Thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would. Emma sat down across from him. Catherine and Marcus stood behind her, protective. Emma's hands were folded on the table. She looked at Richard Lawson with clear, unflinching eyes.
Mr. Lawson. I'm here because you asked. But I need you to understand something. I didn't come to forgive you. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. My mama died scared and alone because of you. She could have gotten treatment earlier. Could have had more time. But she was hiding. Protecting evidence. Living in fear because you threatened her.
Richard's face crumpled. He looked down at his hands, shaking his head. I know. I've thought about Sarah every day for 8 years. About what I took from her. From you.
She was a good person. She worked hard. She just wanted to take care of me. And you destroyed her life because she saw something she shouldn't have seen. I'm sorry. I know those words mean nothing. But I am so deeply sorry. Your mother was brave. She was better than me. Better than I ever was.
Emma was crying now, but her voice remained steady.
I didn't come here for your apology, Mr. Lawson. I came here so you could see me. See what my mama left behind. See that despite everything you did, I'm okay. I have people who love me. I have a future. My mama's courage matters. Her evidence stopped you. Saved Miss Catherine. Changed lives. You tried to silence the truth, but you failed.
Richard Lawson was openly weeping now. He reached across the table like he might touch Emma's hand, but she pulled back. Catherine stepped forward, placing her hands on Emma's shoulders protectively.
You don't get to touch her. You don't get any piece of her. She came here because she's brave, like her mother. But you've done enough damage to this family. You're right. I'm sorry. I just wanted you to know. Sarah Chen was a hero. And I was a coward who destroyed lives to protect myself. I'll die knowing that. Carrying that.
Emma stood up. The visit had lasted less than 10 minutes, but it was enough. She'd said what she needed to say, seen what she needed to see.
Goodbye, Mr. Lawson. I hope you find whatever peace you can.
They left, walked out of that prison into the cold autumn air. Emma was shaking. Catherine pulled her into a tight hug. Marcus wrapped his arms around both of them. They stood there in the prison parking lot, holding each other while Emma cried. Richard Lawson died 6 weeks later. The news barely made a headline. The man who'd once been a powerful executive, who'd stolen millions, who'd framed an innocent woman, died alone in a prison hospital. Marcus felt nothing when he heard. Not satisfaction, not sadness, just emptiness. Emma took the news quietly. She was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework when Catherine told her. She looked up, nodded once, and went back to her calculus problems. But that night, Marcus got a call. Emma couldn't sleep. Could he come over? He arrived at the penthouse 30 minutes later. Emma was sitting on the couch in pajamas, wrapped in a blanket. Catherine made tea for all of them, and they sat together in the living room.
I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. He's dead. The man who hurt my mama. But I just feel empty.
There's no right way to feel, sweetheart. Grief is complicated. Justice is complicated. Life is complicated.
Part of me wanted him to suffer. To hurt the way my mama hurt. But when I saw him in prison, dying, I just felt sad. He wasted his whole life chasing money and power. And in the end, he had nothing. Nobody who loved him. No legacy except pain.
Your mama has a legacy, Emma. A real one. A wing of a building named after her. Hundreds of students helped by her scholarship fund. Whistleblowers protected because of her courage. You. She has you. That's a real legacy.
Emma nodded slowly, sipping her tea.
I think I'm ready to let go of the anger now. I've been carrying it for so long. But what good is it doing? He's gone. Mama's gone. But I'm here. And I have you both. And I have a chance to make Mama proud by living a good life. Helping people. Being brave like she was.
You already make her proud, Emma. Every single day.
They sat together late into the night, talking about Sarah, about Richard, about justice and mercy and forgiveness, about how people are complicated, how even those who do terrible things are still human, still capable of regret, but also how some damage can't be undone, some wounds can't be healed, and that's okay. You just learn to carry the scars and keep moving forward. 10 years after that rainy night, the Sarah Chen Justice Foundation held its anniversary gala. A decade of work. Over 600 cases successfully defended. 412 scholarships awarded. 17 whistleblowers protected. Lives changed. Justice served. Emma was 18 now. A high school senior. She'd been accepted to 7 universities. She'd chosen to attend Columbia, close enough to visit home often. She was planning to study law. Not because she felt obligated to her mother's memory, but because she genuinely wanted to help people. To continue the work Sarah had started, Marcus had amplified, and Catherine had funded.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emma Chen. 10 years ago, I was a scared 8-year-old girl standing in a courthouse lobby in the rain.
The ballroom was packed. Donors, foundation staff, scholarship recipients, lawyers who'd taken pro bono cases through the foundation. Emma stood at the podium in an elegant dress, confident and strong. Marcus watched from his table, tears already streaming down his face.
I just lost my mother. I was alone. I had nothing but a letter and a key and a promise I'd made to deliver the truth. I didn't know if anyone would believe me. But then I met a janitor named Marcus Cole. And a woman named Catherine Bennett who'd been destroyed by lies. And together, we stopped a criminal. But more than that, we started something bigger.
Emma gestured around the room.
This foundation exists because my mama was brave. Because Mr. Marcus refused to ignore a crying child. Because Miss Catherine turned her suffering into purpose. And because all of you believe that ordinary people deserve justice. That courage should be protected. That the truth matters.
The applause was deafening. Emma waited for it to quiet, then continued.
I'm 18 now. In the fall, I'll be starting at Columbia Law School. And when I graduate, I'll be joining this foundation as an attorney. Because this work isn't finished. There are still people who need help. Still whistleblowers who need protection. Still scared kids carrying their parents' last wishes and hoping someone will care.
Marcus stood up and started clapping. Then Catherine stood. Then the entire room was on their feet. Emma was crying now, but smiling through the tears. She'd come so far from that frightened little girl in the rain. But in the ways that mattered, she was still the same. Still brave. Still determined to do right. Still her mother's daughter. After the speeches ended and the formal part of the evening concluded, Marcus found a quiet corner. Catherine and Emma joined him there, away from the crowd and the noise.
10 years. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago.
I think about that night a lot. What would have happened if I just ignored Emma? Told her to leave. Gone back to mopping floors.
But you didn't. You stopped. You listened. You helped. That's who you are, Mr. Marcus.
Marcus looked at these two remarkable women who'd become his family. Catherine, who'd survived betrayal and imprisonment and emerged stronger. Emma, who'd lost everything and somehow found the strength to build a beautiful life. He was just a janitor who'd made one decent choice 10 years ago. But that choice had rippled out into thousands of lives changed, hundreds of people helped, a foundation that would continue long after he was gone.
I'm the lucky one. You two gave my life meaning, purpose, love. I was alone for so long. And then one rainy night, you walked through my door and changed everything.
We changed each other, Marcus. All three of us.
We're family. Forever. No matter what.
They stood together, arms around each other, while the gala continued around them. A janitor, a billionaire, and a young woman who carried her mother's courage into the future. An unlikely family forged in tragedy and triumph. Bound by love and justice and the simple truth that ordinary people, making brave choices, can change the world. And somewhere, Marcus liked to think, Chen was watching. Proud of her daughter. Grateful for the family who'd protected her. Satisfied that her courage, her evidence, her final letter had created something beautiful and lasting. The truth she'd died protecting had set people free. And it would continue to do so, one case at a time, one life at a time, forever. The courthouse where Marcus had worked for 24 years still stands. A different janitor mops those floors now. But visitors sometimes stop at a small plaque near the entrance. It was placed there 5 years ago by the courthouse staff. It reads, in honor of Marcus Cole, janitor, advocate, defender of justice. He showed us that heroes don't always wear robes or carry briefcases. Sometimes they carry mops and open hearts. Catherine Bennett still runs NeuralSync. It's now one of the most ethical tech companies in the world, known for its commitment to social responsibility and second chances. The Chen Research Wing has developed technology that's helped millions of people in underserved communities access education and healthcare. Emma Chen graduated from Columbia Law School at the top of her class. True to her word, she joined the Chen Justice Foundation as an attorney. She's already made a name for herself, winning impossible cases, protecting whistleblowers, giving voice to the voiceless. She carries her mother's courage and her chosen family's love into every courtroom. The Chen Memorial Scholarship Fund has now helped over 800 students attend college. Many of them have gone on to become lawyers, doctors, teachers, activists. They carry Sarah's legacy forward, each in their own way. Marcus Cole is 71 now. He still goes to the foundation office most days, though he's officially retired. He can't seem to stop helping people. Can't seem to stop answering calls from desperate families who need someone to believe them. Emma jokes that he'll be reviewing case files from his deathbed. On rainy nights, Marcus sometimes stands by the window and thinks about that evening 10 years ago. About a scared little girl carrying her mother's truth. About the choice he made to stop mopping and start listening. about how one moment of compassion created ripples that touched thousands of lives. What if we all stopped? What if we all listened? What if we all chose courage over convenience, justice over comfort, compassion over indifference? Sarah Chen was just a night cleaner. Marcus Cole was just a janitor. Emma was just a scared child. But together, they changed the world. So this story leaves you with a question. What would you do? If you saw injustice, would you look away or stand up? If a frightened person asked for help, would you dismiss them or listen? If the truth needed defending, would you stay silent or speak? Because heroes aren't born. They're made in moments, in choices, in the decision to do what's right even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when you're just a janitor with a mop and a heart that refuses to ignore suffering. The truth will set you free. But first, someone has to be brave enough to defend it.